Hello, AP Art and Design students. Today's tasks, number 2 for the basics week. We're going to work on our hatching and cross hatching. So we're shading a cave-like form, and today we're going to work with markers. So I got a skinny one and a thicker one. And you're thinking, oh no, what if I make a mistake? Trust me, you can't really make a mistake. This is all about practice. But I'm going to start by making some hatching on here. So I'm just going to kind of freehand draw a couple of egg forms somewhere on my paper. And what I want to do is I want to start hatching. And notice I'm not picking up and putting down my Sharpie. I'm just rolling with it. And this angle works for me because I'm a right-hander, but you can flip around the paper and get some other angles in there if you want. And by going back and forth and covering up some of the paper, I have already started to poke two kind of like holes or created two forms there. But for this project, I'm going to think of those kind of as holes. So the white part of the paper is closer to me, and the darker part of the paper is further away. Now I'm going to go back in. I'm going to subdivide those shapes with a couple more lines. That one kind of looks like a tennis ball on there, and the other one doesn't. I'm going to go back, and again, this time I'm going over it a second time. And what I want to try to create here by practice is the illusion. Can you still see what I'm doing here? That the things that are darker are further away from me. Now, you might be watching this and saying, okay, I'm starting to see it, Mr. Walter. But it looks like you're going over your lines. You're not being very accurate. Is that because you don't care or because you're hurrying? Oh. And it's one, yeah, I'm hurrying a little bit here. But in addition, I can do some things to make it look like it doesn't matter. Now let's subdivide those again and hatch again. And I can go along these edges now because I'm really starting to build in some nice darks. Going up to that edge, getting to that edge. And now I've got closest to me, further away, further away, further away. Let's do it. Oh, let's do it over here. The more marks I build up, the darker it becomes. So I'm starting to get this sense of it going back. Maybe I'll get my real dark marker in here and say, oh, I happened to pick one that wasn't really dark. But now I've got something way back in there because I'm almost completely obliterated the paper. or the white of the paper to really start to push some of these things back in the space themselves. Let's do a shape this time over here. Do a shape there. Let's do like another shape there. Let's do a dark shape on the other side of this one here. Let's do a dark shape in here. Move it out a little bit. Do another one here. Oh boy, now it's really starting to move back in there. But what about those messy edges? Well, what if I came in and just said, okay, there are no edges. I'm gonna do a little shading outside here. Like, there's a little light in this section that's closest to me. It's not all dark, or not all perfectly white in this section. What if I come in and emphasize this edge a little bit? Make it feel like a little light's casting on that one. Maybe I do the same thing on this side. Maybe I'll do that on the same side of every object. So now instead of it being just one set of hatching, it starts to feel like it's got a little bit of roundness to it, or some cast shadows are starting to go in here. So now I'm able to kind of like really start playing. And I could do this from the very beginning. Yeah, let's make this a little bit darker here. So now it looks like I meant to be messy. I didn't have to be perfect right from the get-go, which gives me a lot of freedom. I'm getting that extra dark marker, make that edge kind of come back a little bit more so that it's barely showing up. Got a little shadowy section. Hatching and cross hatching to give this drawing a sense of, what the heck? A few little strenuous. Let's connect these two. Those two are connected now. Let's poke a hole here. Let's poke another hole down here. Let's connect these two. What the heck? We'll go like this. It's almost starting to look like bones now instead of like a cave to me. Emphasize this edge a little more. What the heck? We're going to go right up off the top of the page here. Wasn't part of the initial plan. Now it's part of the plan. Oh no, I liked what he had, but then he went too far. No, maybe I didn't go too far. All right, so that's the fun. And when you do things like that, you're like, okay, it's practice. I see what happens. I see how you're building it up. I see how I don't have to be perfect, all that sort of stuff. You can start doing things where you say, okay, how does this even help me, Mr. Walter? You know, like, well, what if I wanted to do a little bit of shading over here, a little bit of shading over here. Let's make this a little bit darker. Yeah, let's poke like a little hole here. Let's poke like another little hole here. Let's put a little something here. Let's poke a little hole here. Let's poke a little hole here. Let's come back and make this a little darker. Let's 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 make this a little darker. Oh, let's make this a little bit. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's make that upper lip. Oh, it's a face. He let on, and it's a face. Let's start to make some of this a little bit darker. Let's make this over here real dark, like dark. Wrinkles. Oh, you know what? Let's go darker outside here, not inside. There. Ah. Boom. Portrait. If Walter can do, so can you.